New concept. If I can have worrying and anxious ants thoughts, then I can also have peaceful and calming thoughts. None of us were born with social anxiety. None of us chose social anxiety. All of us would gladly give social anxiety up this very moment if we could. Since you weren't born with social anxiety and the automatic negative thoughts and feelings that accompany it, this means that you can learn to think and feel differently. It means that, although it is not our fault that we have social anxiety, at this stage there is no one who can get us out of this trap but ourselves. Put another way, you are not responsible for having social anxiety. However, you are the only one who can be responsible for your healing. Even at this point, you can choose some things. You can choose to stay stuck in the social anxiety maze, or you can choose new thoughts and feelings instead. Therefore, I think I'll choose those new rational thoughts instead. New concept. Turn that ant's thought around. Okay, this sounds good, but how do you change those ant's thoughts around? If you're worried about a situation, turn the thought around slowly. For example, if I'm worried about an upcoming event, I take the exact same worry and change it a little. You know, this is really not as bad as I make it out to be. It's possible I over-exaggerate this in my mind. Maybe I blow it way out of proportion. Now I'm going to deliberately focus on something else. I know it does absolutely no good for me to worry. Or say this to yourself. What good does it do to worry anyway? Worrying, or anticipatory anxiety, is an ant's thought that can't do anything but lie to me. Since I know these ants are lying to me, this event may actually turn out to be a little better than I expected. I'll be okay. I've always made it through alive. I've gone through events like this before, and I haven't died yet. Remember, if you can build up negative things in your mind, you can more easily build up rational thoughts in your mind. The positive, rational thoughts are always more accurate, strong, and powerful than the old ant's lies. Notice, in turning the tables on the ants, you need to move your thoughts up a little. For example, say to yourself, "This is not as horrible an event as I once thought it was. This is an event I've had difficulty with in the past. But I'm a different person now. This event may still cause me some anxiety, but it will be a little better than it was before." Notice we are being very rational with our thinking. It is perfectly fine to say, "I have had problems with talking to strangers before." Your brain knows this, and that's a rational statement. But we don't want to leave it there. We must continue. But I have made some progress, and things are a little easier for me now, so maybe this time talking to others won't be quite as bad as I think it will be. So you see, I am deliberately choosing to think rationally, but my mind is not yet ready to go fully positive. So I am going neutral. I am adding some conditional words. You can add all the neutral words you want to these statements, so that it will be a true statement that your brain will accept. You can always say, "Talking to others has caused me anxiety in the past. but I have been learning some strategies that will make this easier. I am going to slow down, take a deep breath, use slow talk, and focus on what the other person is saying to me. I may have some anxiety, but perhaps it will be easier this time. Maybe it will be more manageable than it was in the past. Maybe by slowing down, I will feel more comfortable and in control. This conditional statement you just made to yourself is very rational and begins the process of changing your automatic negative thinking into automatic rational thinking. But we cannot make this leap all at once. We can't go from years and years of negative thinking to positive thinking with just a few statements or handouts. We need to stay rational with our brain. So turning the tables on the ants, part 1, means that we stay rational and at least make our thoughts neutral concerning anxiety-producing events. This next example should make a lot of sense to you. I wish I had understood it when I was going through the worst years of my social anxiety. It explains a lot of things that keep us down and make us feel like we can never get any better. You see, I need to change my thinking about what I'm doing. Otherwise, I could go to this social event, let's say it's a party at work, 1,000 times, and still be afraid every time I went. In order to stop the anxiety, I must tell myself the truth and stop believing ants' lies. For example, I should say to myself, this may not be a fun event for me. I do not enjoy going to company parties, but I'm doing better at it than I used to think. That's a nice, new, rational statement that is true. You have turned the table on that automatic negative thought. It is important to turn the tables on the ants slowly, gradually, and gently. You don't jump into number 10 anxiety-ridden situations when you start out. But as you meet a mildly anxiety-causing situation, start telling yourself the truth. Turn that ant's thought around. Say to yourself, this may not be my favorite activity, and in the past it has caused me anxiety, but I will probably do better at it than I have in the past. So turn those ants' thoughts around, and then when you are actually doing the activity, it has a chance to become less and less anxiety arousing. After all, we're just telling the truth. Those old ants' beliefs are nothing but lies. I am learning to accept and believe in my present and future, and that is simply the truth. When I was in college, I had to take a course in order to graduate. I thought that if I took this course in the summer, it would be easier for me. But I wasn't prepared for one big thing, the instructor. In this class, the instructor was a short, thin, middle-aged woman, not a personality type that usually brought on anxiety for me. But she conducted her class in a very anxiety-causing way. She made us do the teaching, and she called on us, each one of us, in each class, 3 or 4 times every day. She was loud, upbeat, positive, funny, and very much in control. I immediately felt very anxious, and when she started calling names randomly from her class list, my anxiety hit the roof. I wanted to drop the class desperately, but knew I couldn't do it. That would have put me in deep trouble with my parents. So I went to the class every day and suffered immense anxiety. The only time I felt free of it was the hour or two after class, when I felt a sense of overwhelming relief. Since this was a summer class, it met every day of the week, Monday through Friday. So by the time afternoon came, I was starting to worry, obsess, and fear the next day's class. I knew she would call on me. My face would turn red. I wouldn't know what to say. My mind would go blank. Then she would have to rescue me by saying something, and I would feel foolish, stupid, and embarrassed. The 5 weeks of that class were 5 weeks of emotional torture and nightmare for me. Nevertheless, I went every day. I faced my fears, and what happened? My fears just grew stronger. My social anxiety was raging. My thoughts were now more negative. We're constantly told that facing our fears should help us, but obviously they don't. Well, what does help? I didn't know. I thought I was just a worthless loser because I couldn't even figure this out. I wish I knew then what I know now. I needed to turn the tables on the ants. I needed to go neutral in my thinking. Going positive would have seemed ludicrous to me, and it would not have been rational. Here is what I should have said to myself. Okay, Tom, this class causes you great anxiety. Let's slow down, take a deep breath, and rationalize this.